Hi everyone, you reached Chronicles of the Gray Hair Diva. If this is your first time, welcome. If not, welcome back. For all of you out there, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will be notified. Hit the like button, chat with me in the comments, and when I get an opportunity, I will chat back. And share my video with your friends and family so that they can come to my channel and get to know me also. I'm here today with a quick video on the Wendy Williams Show. The Wendy Williams Show is going through it right now because it's missing the key component, their host, Wendy Williams. Now, many of us, last year, we had high hopes. If you're a Wendy Williams fan and you watched the Wendy Williams Show, we had high hopes that Wendy would eventually one day come back to her show. As time has continued to pass and we heard the little sprinklings of the rumors that she's really not doing well, that possibly she's suffering from dementia, all kind of other things, that she goes in and out of her addiction, unfortunately, for me, the hope has left the building. I do not anticipate, nor am I thinking that Wendy will ever appear back on her show. Now, trust me, if there's a day where they announce that she's coming back, I'm going to be front and center at my TV, or maybe if I could get a ticket, I will travel and actually see the live show. But until then, I'm not holding on to a string, hanging on in the wings, thinking Wendy is coming back. I have rarely watched it with these guest hosts because honestly, I'm not interested. I watched the Wendy Williams Show because of Wendy Williams. So with that being said, it's sad for me to watch the demise of Wendy Williams. I have followed Wendy since her radio days. She was that shock jock. Now you gotta imagine, back when Wendy Williams first was there in her radio days, it was social media wasn't the phenomenon, wasn't the big thing that social media is right now. So the first time you would hear anything shocking about celebrities within the African American culture, and perhaps some outside of it, it would be off of the radio, out of Wendy Williams' mouth. There are plenty of times when I was driving my car listening to the Wendy Williams Show and I would hear her say some shocking information and I literally almost crashed. There were other times when I was driving to work, because I would always listen to her as I would drive to work. There were other times when I was driving to work and I would hear her and she would be like, okay, after this commercial break, I'm going to give you the information on XYZ. And there was times where I would sit in my car almost late for work, just waiting for her to come back on the radio and give the shocking, celebrity news that she was going to dish out for the day. So that's where I started my journey with Wendy Williams, and I have loved her and stuck with her along the way. When she first announced that she was getting her own television show, her own talk show, I was super excited for her. And granted, once she got her television show, because she was censored on the radio, there was several times that she got suspended from different radio stations because of her running her mouth. But once she got to TV, she did take it down a few notches, because when you have sponsors of a whole nother level and you're being censored by, the TV, there's but so much you can say. But she did still try to give her same flavor, her same spin on the celebrity gossip as she did when she was on her radio show. I've been to her live show physically over 7 times. I enjoyed it. It was a good time, and it was sad to see her demise. And what I mean by that is, when you have someone, in my opinion, that raised themselves up from the ashes. And what do I mean by the ashes? Like, she started out with nothing. She had no handouts. She had no inside people trying to, that can help her, that brought her in. She fought for everything she got. Every radio station job she had, she begged for it, she worked for it, and she built her way up to have this TV show with her own hands. And unfortunately, her demise came by her own hands. I'm going to touch a little bit on substances and substance abuse, and I want to say this. I know that some people feel like, oh, I drank, but I'm in control of my drinking. Well, how control are you in of your drinking if every time you drink, you get filthy, nasty drunk and you act a fool? There's others that say, oh, I take drugs, recreational drugs, right? I just do it every now and then. I don't do it all the time. I have control of it. Well, the thing with substances, They usually have control over you. You don't have control over them. Right now, I'm on this journey where I'm trying to drink a lot of water, reduce the amount of sugar intake, and sugar is the devil. Ever try to wean yourself off of sugar? I never been on any substances, like illegal substances, but I'm sure I feel like I can understand a person that's trying to be in rehab and come off of a drug, because sugar is the devil and it's like a drug, and weaning yourself off of it is a beast. So I could only imagine. And so my wish and hope for everybody is stay away from the drugs, because eventually it will destroy your life. So now let's get into this article from page 6. They said there's a culture war brewing out over at the Wendy Williams Show with these out of touch executives. So Wendy Williams she of course is African American. Her demographics of her audience is mostly African American, and the LGBTQ community absolutely loves Wendy Williams. So with that being said, when you bring hosts to replace her, with this source that was speaking as page 6 is saying, you got to bring some people in that will tap into the majority of her audience. And does that mean that because Wendy Williams was African American, that every host has to be African American? Absolutely not. But what it does mean is that the person you bring in to guest host, they should at least be in touch with that culture, that demographics, so that they know how to touch them and make them feel welcome and make the show interesting when they do guest host. So let's talk a little bit more about this article. It says staffers at the Wendy Williams Show feel that the show has lost its luster in the wake of her absence, and they bring these out of touch executives. And yes, I will say this, even when they have the African American host up there, it has lost its luster. Why? Because it's lost its main ingredient, which is Wendy Williams. I don't think anybody is going to be able to replace her. And I also don't think that these guest hosts are really filling her shoes or making a mark. Even though I may have my favorites that have guest hosts so far, none of them really is doing it for me. So I don't watch it as much. If I'm bored or there's nothing else on, then I'll check it out with their guest host, or I just turn now to the Tamron Hall show. You know, I used to have to fight between which one I was going to watch for the day anyway, as it was airing, even though, you know, now we can on demand everything. But now I turn more to Tamron Hall, which comes on at the same time, versus watching Wendy Williams, because I'm not into these guest hosts. It says mid and low level producers are miserable, and staffers feel like the bosses are alienating the audience with guest hosts like Michael Rapaport, Leah Remy, and Whitney Cummings. Now, although I think that they all are doing an okay job, and I think this is how these staffers feel too, it says they're not factoring in the culture, and not the actual host, but they're thinking the executives and the people that are bringing on these hosts are not factoring in the culture. He said the all-white management is out of touch with the demographics, and most of Wendy Williams' guests are always African American, as I stated. And there's some sprinkling of other cultures there in between. But if you go back and you watch any Wendy Williams show and they span the audience, you'll see the demographics. And they said to add insult to injury, we're told staffers are myth about Rapaport, who has been a ratings bust, kicking off the first week of Black History Month. So, you know, they're saying that, okay, fine, you want to bring in who you want to bring in, but at the very least for Black History Month, can you bring in some African American or some Black special guest hosts, okay? So they was pissed that he was the one that kicked off Black History Month, and they said that the ratings tanked. It said it's like they're programming against the culture instead of leaning into it, the insider said. But the war on Wendy isn't all about race, according to another source, who pointed out the show's robust roster of Black guest hosts like Sherry Shepherd, Remy Ma, Bevy Smith, and Terrence J. are all slated to host for the month of Black History, February. They claim Williams' daytime gossip feast becomes an entirely different show when Remy, hosts. So they said Remy refuses to do live shows and to dish out about other celebs because she's the star, sources told us. So this is Leah Remy, not Remy Ma. So don't get it confused. So they're saying it becomes a different show when Leah Remy on there because she don't want to talk about her fellow stars. Okay, she don't want to dish the dirt on them. She said everyone knows people tune into Wendy for hot topics, and that is so true. But Remy refuses to talk about celebs, a second source says. There's also speculation among insiders that Denbar Mercury, who produces the Wendy Williams Show, is testing Remy out for her own. So it becomes the Leah Remy test show, according to a third insider. So Leah Remy, I think she does okay when she hosts the Wendy Williams Show. Do I think she'll be able to hold a show of her own? Absolutely not. Now, would I have ever thought Drew Barrymore could do a talk show? I probably wouldn't have, just off the top of my head, but that's another talk show that I absolutely love, is the Drew Barrymore Show. She's doing a phenomenal job. I love the whole setup of her show. So maybe Lisa Remy will surprise us. Maybe she'll shock us, right? And they said we're told Remy also becomes a diva and demands things like staying at a suite at the Palace Hotel and special water to drink that is not found at the local bodegas in NYC. But despite allegedly not being liked at the show, execs want her back. Leah is a true professional and a pleasure to work with. We have invited her back to the show to guest host, and we're working on dates. That's what a spokesperson has said, right? Williams hasn't appeared on her show since July 2021 and has zero involvement in the show and who fills in for her, we're told. The show hasn't provided an update on when she'll return, but insiders said they're preparing for her not to come back for the rest of the season, and they are smart because I think us seeing Wendy is a done deal. Now, a lot of times I actually come on, if you follow the channel Sherelle's World, I actually come up with Sherelle and the panel, and we just have debates and we talk about different things. And one day we was talking about the Wendy Williams Show, and I want to say Sherelle's husband Perry, he mentioned, he was like, you know what, they really need to do a tribute show to Wendy Williams. And I wholeheartely agree. They know it's over. They know Wendy's not coming back. She doesn't have the wherewithal. She doesn't have the capacity. She's not. If she's not ready at this point right now, then unfortunately for the rest of this season, she probably never is going to be ready. And what they should do is they should try to prepare her, get her up. I don't know when their season ends. Usually Wendy Williams ended her season later than the rest of the talk show hosts. So if most of them ended their season in May, Wendy would go all the way to June or something like that. I don't know if that is their plan this time around, to do that same time period without her. But I will say this. They have from now to June. Clean her up. Give her vitamins. Have her drink water from now to June. Give her all organic food. And just give her like 2 sentences to remember. And do a whole tribute show to Wendy Williams for the last episode of this particular season. Let her say, I'm out. Goodbye. It's been a nice run. I'm sorry I couldn't come back and do the last season with y'all, but I love y'all. This is it. I'm done. I think they really should give her that. She's owed that. She has had an amazing career as a celebrity, shock jock, blogger, and she's deserved this last, nice farewell and goodbye. So guys, listen, talk to me. Have you been watching the Wendy Williams Show with all of these different guest hosts? If someone is to get that slot, I don't want to say take over her show, because really, you can't take over her show. If someone is to get that slot and have their own talk show, who do you think it should be? Do you think Leah Remy can actually do this thing? Especially who she's going to be up against. She's going to be up against, at least for where I'm at in my time slot, she's going to be up against the Tamron Hall show, because Tamron Hall and Wendy Williams, for me, come on at the same time, 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. So who can really, come up against that and do well in that particular slot? I don't think Lisa Remy is ready, but hey, I could be wrong. Because as I told you, I didn't think the Drew Barrymore show was going to do what it did, but I absolutely love her show. So do you also think that they should give Wendy Williams just a nice farewell, a nice goodbye? I think she deserves it. And I want to say again, like Perry from Sherelle's World said, do all kind of clips of all of her past shows and show most of that stuff, like her best moments, show most of that stuff for her farewell show. And and then have her come in, Skype her in for the last piece to say goodbye to everybody. So the staff unfortunately is miserable over there at the Wendy Williams show. I think that they really need to call this thing a wrap after they finally finish out this particular season. They tried to hold it together, God bless them, but when you are doing any kind of show, when you have a clothing store, when you have a hair care line, when you are doing any type of business, when you go to write a business plan, one of the things that they tell you is, the question they tell you to ask yourself is, who is my demographic? Who am I trying to impact? Who do I want to buy this product? Who do I want to watch me? And then you base everything on that. You can't grab an audience to come look at you or buy your product if you're not even in touch with what that audience needs and their wants are. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, chat with me in the comments, and when I get an opportunity, I will chat back. And don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.